My name is Forsäng. I work as a refinery application manager at St1 Refinery in Gothenburg, Sweden.
Yes, and my name is Asle Frantzen. I work at Amitec in Norway as currently the head of business development.
And together we had finalized the project that we did finalize last year. It was about replacing legacy web applications with modern PI solutions.
Before we get started, I want to do something I always wanted to do. So if I can get a big smile from everybody, this will be the coolest selfie of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, so first we go through an agenda. We talk about a little bit about St1 and St1 Refinery. We talk about a little bit about the applications, get an overview. We go through what we can call the limitations of the tools and the challenges. And also we present the goals that we started to have, and we wanted to see if it was possible together with AVEVA and Amitec. And after that, Asle will do a presentation about Amitec. He will go through some details from the implementation project, and then we finish off with conclusions and next steps. So let's begin. These figures is for the St1 Refinery. We have over 250 employees working at St1 Refinery. We refine around 30 million barrels of crude oil every year. We manage over 600 ships, and we are operating 24/7. This refinery was actually built in the late 1940s, and it was owned from the beginning, more or less until 2010 by Shell. But in 2010, we, St1, bought the refinery and all the retail stations that Shell had in Norway, in Sweden, and in Finland. With that said, today we have 1,270 stations in Finland, Norway, and Sweden. Some of them are still branded with the Shell logo, but we are currently having a project this year where we will rebrand them to St1. So next year you will not see any Shell stations in Sweden, Norway, or Finland. The refinery is a part of a Nordic company, St1. It's a Finnish company from the beginning. We have the headquarters in Helsinki, and we have big office locations in Oslo, in Gothenburg, and in Stockholm. And we also have a lot of depots in these countries. Our customers are private customers, of course, and business customers, and also government agencies. So here are the applications that we wanted to replace. The first one is called Tank Farm. It's actually an application to log every pumping going into the refinery, going out between tanks, or pumpings into the production. This application creates what we call a midnight report, which is used by the business every day for them in order to plan what to produce every day on a daily basis. Then we have PI Utilities, which is a set of reporting tools and some manual data entry possibilities. I think the most important thing is that it creates reports that we send to authorities regarding environmental reports, so we can still be running the refinery. We also have a third application called Modes and Targets, which is more or less a recipe applications to run the plants as efficient as possible. These applications were created a long time ago, 20 plus years, during the Shell era. And it has become more or less an IT problem within the organization. But we had to do something about it. So I will just show you how they looked like in the old system. This is tank farm. You can see it's not developed last year directly. It looks really old. The operators has to do a lot of manual work. It has some trending possibilities, but they are really lightweight. We don't use Windows authentication for the users to log in, so it's a manual process for that. The service backend is more or less like a black box for us, and we had a support vendor some years ago that stored the source code for all these 3 applications. They had a disk crash, and after that we didn't have the possibility to access the source codes, which was really bad, to say it nicely. All these applications have to use Internet Explorer in compatibility mode. So it's, you hear we have a lot of problems with them. Same goes with Pi utilities. Looks old, no single sign-on. Internet Explorer has to be used. There were some algorithms that hadn't been updated for, I don't know how many years. That was needed. So, we go to modes and targets. The recipe application, same here. I don't think we should, you understand what I mean. They are really old. The problem was we had vendor support for some years, but after the disk crash, they didn't really want to support us any longer. So they ended the support contract. These applications were really custom made 20 years ago. So we didn't utilize the modern Pi systems. And on top of that, we had quite unclear ownership, which meant that I was pointing to the technical manager. You have to start up a project, and they were pointing at me. And then the IT organization from Finland told me, we can't use Internet Explorer anymore. So it was on me in the end. So what we did was to sit down and see what are our goals if we create new applications. First of all, we did want to use as much standard tools and functionalities coming from Pi as possible. We wanted to build in the applications inside of the Pi system. The old ones were on other servers, application servers. We also had Oracle. Oracle was the Oracle database. It was the only one that we had at the refinery. We had reduced the numbers of them in several years due to support and cost, I would say. It was a really small database, this one. We also wanted to have an active support partner that could help us to look into the future, see our business needs, and so on. We also wanted to access the application through modern web browsers and through single sign-on. And with this said, we started to discuss with OSIsoft at the time and Amitec, is this possible? And they told us, yes, it is, but you have to do 2 things first. You have to buy Pi Vision licenses. And we did that in 2019. In 2020, we did the other thing, which was to upgrade the Pi environment, the Pi server, the Pi AF server, to the most recent version, and also to install a new Pi Vision server. And so we did. In early 2021, we started a pre-study with Amitec and the business in order to get Amitec.
Point of view.
Yeah. You had to understand what was the purpose of the applications and so on, and how can we replace them. Then it took 2 years before you started up the project. And
correct. Yes, so I will talk a little bit about that, but first a few more words about Amitec. I showed this slide yesterday as well, but I didn't really go into any details. So as I mentioned, we are headquartered in Bergen, Norway. We have offices in Stavanger, in Germany, and in the Czech Republic as well. And we recently also have personnel in the UK, Finland, and Poland. So we are well represented across Europe. And incidentally, when I started in Amitec, we were 8 people, and now we are closing in on 80. So it's been quite a journey. We've been a partner with OSIsoft and AVEVA for 30 years. And we mainly do Pi and Seek projects. We also have service level agreements, so we support our customers' Pi environments. We do a lot of software development projects like this one, and we also have product development, as we show out in our booth. So the project that we did together with St1 Refinery looked like this. It was organized, everything went through Carl as the refinery application manager, and he coordinated with his teams on the different applications. From Amitec's side, we had 1 back-end developer and 2 front-end developers, a tech lead and a project coordinator. We tried to use agile development methodologies as much as possible. We did daily stand-ups, and we had bi-weekly sprints. The tank farm solution and 1 report from Pi Utilities were defined as phase 1, and the modes and target solution with the rest of Pi Utilities was phase 2. So, as Carl mentioned, we came into the picture actually doing work in 2021 with the pre-study. This was during the travel restrictions of COVID-19, and I would say that that was a challenging one for us. We were used to coming on site for a week, discussing with all the subject matter experts at the companies that we work with, and this time we had to do everything, all the requirements, gatherings, interviews, remotely. So hopefully we don't have to do that again.
I hope so.
Yes. So most of the development was development work was conducted in the second half of 2023 and in the first half of 2024. Tank farm and flow report, one of the Pi Utilities reports, they were taken into production in Q1 2024, while modes and targets and the remaining functionalities went live in December last year. Here is a slide with some of the technologies we used. Front end, Angular and TypeScript. Back end, .NET 6 and C#. We're still waiting for the new AF SDK that supports the newer .NET frameworks. It's not here yet, so we have used Pi Web API to interact with the Pi system. So Tank Farm is the first application we worked with. And we have built it to resemble the original application as close as possible due to wishes from the end users.
Yeah.
The difference is that this display is fully hosted within Pi Vision. So we are running it in full screen with no chroming and no toolbars and anything. And yeah, the average user wouldn't know it's Pi Vision, but it is Pi Vision. And that gives us access to much better ad hoc trending. The applications that you can see here, or the different parts, some of them are custom visualization symbols. So on the top here, we have a product of ours, the navigation menu. And in the bottom right, we have 3 custom-made symbols for this project. Here's one of the other pages, pumping. So we have a pumping report and a production report. This brings the these custom reports, makes them available in the PI system. So we have created them as standalone web applications, but we have brought them into PI Vision with another custom symbol that's a web app or web page embedder. All the operations that we see here are implemented as PI event frames. So there is 1 event frame per operation, but we have also implemented child event frames, so there is 1 event frame per day. Here is the midnight report that you mentioned, Carl. This report is created, as the name indicates, directly after midnight, and it will show any discrepancies between the volume having left 1 tank and the volume having entered the other tank, the next tank. Smaller discrepancies are adjusted automatically, while larger ones need to be inspected manually. And the reason there is a discrepancy is, of course, that you have pipes and you measure from 1 tank, or you measure from the start tank, or you measure from the receiving tank. So any kind of volume left in the pipes will be marked as a discrepancy. So the outcome of this report is used both by production planning teams and accounting systems. So now we move over to the flow report. This is the first report of the PI utilities. So since St1 is obliged to report emissions to authorities, they have to make sure that they have good quality of the recorded data. But sometimes instruments are malfunctioning or production units are off or down. So in that case, the flow report allows the production engineers to create tag value corrections in bulk for values suspected to deviate from the normal operating ranges. So the corrected values are treated in AF analyses before being fed into the new corrected tags. The other report of PI utilities is called the NOx report, and this one used to be a pen and paper based report where we had manual data web pages that they could enter the values into. And we have actually been able to replace this report in its entirety by the PI manual logger web application. So that was a quick win.
Yeah.
The third application is the modes and targets app. And this has a recipe, it's a recipe library application. And it allows the technologists and the process engineers to keep track of the different products the refinery makes. And all the optimizations they need to produce as efficient as possible. So, and also here, compared to the previous or the old application, we've been able to simplify this a lot. I think the other applications had 8 menus on the top, and now we basically have a home page and 2 menus on top. So that's another win. So we can start by looking at the recipes. We have something that's called a default mode, if you see the blue button on the top left. This is where we tie all the tags into a piece of production equipment. So we call this the default mode. So if the tag isn't there, you can't really, it's not part of the recipe. So this is where you kind of specify any limits or constraints that is tied to your equipment. Then we have a base mode. This one is the actual recipe. This one tells you just the targets that you need to produce a certain product. So while the alarm limits and constraints are placed in the default mode, the actual targets are put into the base mode. And then we also have something called exceptions mode. So it holds temporary overrides for target values and alarm limits. So this is needed if you have equipment or raw material-based constraints for a short amount of time. And behind the scenes, these are implemented as AF elements with inheritance and overrides. So it basically means that you can go down into the lowest level, the exceptions, and you will see the current values of all the attributes and if they are overridden or not. The next display is something we call the mode switch display. So in order to put a recipe into production, the operators are responsible for that. And while the process engineers are responsible for editing the recipes, operators know the process, and they need to go through this mode switch page to be able to do this. They need to do some calculations here. There is a calculate button in the bottom here, and the target values, the yellow ones on the top right, they can be edited by the operators. So if they know something about the process, this doesn't work, we have tried this multiple times, they can change it. They hit calculate, and then all the other values down in the page could get affected by that. So after calculating and approving that, they can do the mode switch. The next section of modes and targets is the logs section. Here we see the log overview page. And this is similar to the live view of the tank farm display. Data is linked to various logs based on the process areas they belong to. So we have 4 main production areas. On the left, we have a log matrix. It shows you all the logs in that production area. And the logs are a collection of tags tied to your production unit. But it's not just for your production unit. You can also bring in tag values coming from the step before this production step and the ones after, if you want. We have some columns here with S and age. They mean super or 1 second value, and hour for hourly values. So we can see alarms. Same thing in the actual logs. So this is the log content. On the left, we have the 1 second resolution data. And on the right, we have the hourly averages. And we have a lot of color coding. Well, that's not immediately visible here. We have color coding and alarm acknowledgement. And in addition, this application is not hosted in PI Vision. This is a standalone application, but you can see the look and feel of the application is the same. But we also utilize PI Vision's ad hoc trending here as well. So it opens in a new tab, and you have all the opportunities or all the possibilities you had in the previous one. So what are the wins in this project? So by being able to utilize the asset framework in PI, we have the infamous one version of the truth. This is the main database for all the applications. We utilize event frames to keep track of operations, and we have analyses that do all the calculations. That makes it more accessible to the end users as well. We have the PI Web. PI Vision hosts Tank Farm. We have custom web visualizations replaced with out-of-the-box functionality in Pi Vision. We have custom data entry for NOx report that has been replaced with the Pi Manual Logger web application. And finally, we are now able to utilize Windows integrated security. It really simplifies access control and enables single sign-on in all our applications. And group access control is distributed across the organization through the Entra ID groups in Azure that is synced with Active Directory. So with that, I hand it back to you, Carl.
Sorry, Peter, 1 or 2 minutes more. If we do a conclusion of this project, this was really successful. We are running the applications, and they are running really well. We have now signed a support agreement with Amitec, so we have supported applications. Users don't have to log in with their credentials, single sign-on, so they don't have to do that anymore. What else? We have closed down our Oracle database servers, the application servers, so we don't have any physical servers left at the refinery now. It's just virtual servers. We will evaluate the applications after summer, because right now we have a turnaround, which means we are closing down half of the refinery on Friday for maintenance work for at least 1 month. So they are really busy at the moment. If we're going forward with the Pi solutions that we use, we are in a much better place today. We have a modern Pi system, and but we have something called Pi Process Book. It's applications where you do trending. It's not supported anymore, and we will start up a project together with Nodit in, when is it? I think we have said August. We have to wait to see if that's possible. But this year it will be replaced, and also we have a monthly reporting tool that is called RAFCON, that is almost as old as our legacy web applications that we have talked about. That is also ongoing a project, so we can get rid of that during 2025. And last, we will also clarify the system owner role, so we don't end up in the same place as we were before. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. There is time for questions for Carl and Asle. Anyone? Don't be shy. Come on. I have a question then. To you particularly, Carl, what do you sense was the most challenging thing during this process when you started the engagement with Amitec? From your side as a person that has been there with the old system for a long time, and then moving into something unknown?
I think the hardest part was to make the business go along this project, because I think they more or less saw this as an IT project, because we more or less changed the systems one-to-one, but we also told them that now we are able to do more things. But we did what we did, and now we are in a better position to...
Yeah, I would say engaging the users in your organization is one of the most crucial parts of these kind of projects.
But this was not treated as an IT project in the organization. From you said Helsinki, and they said it's your problem, it's your solution.
Yeah, it was. I'm the Pi admin, so it was my problem, so to speak.
Okay.
But we have to do some lessons learned after this. So next time, I would like the business to drive these kind of projects, and IT will support them together with Amitec. So, and also make them come to conferences like this to see all the possibilities within Pi and OT and other.
Super, I like that. Anyone? Final question?